Welcome back. Welcome back. We're now getting ready for. Yep, we're setting up the formalities there between Jane and Taylor and Andrew Bradley of Dan Taylor of Australia and Andrew Bradley of New Zealand for round 7 of the Trans-Tasman Challenge. Thank you for joining us. I'm Scott Shepard, and I will be joined again by Kenji Matsumoto on the commentary for you. I'm trying to get an update on the results. Round 6 was another good round for New Zealand. New Zealand, after 6 rounds, has 48 wins, and Australia has 24. Now, in the bio I have for Jane, says that if she wins the second game that she wins at this tournament, will be her 2,000th tournament win. So, good luck to her. But my bias here at this point says I would prefer that it doesn't happen on the stream. Andrew, lots of high point consonants is going to make it challenging to play. But there's something like Zo, but that's not particular. Paw, can't play pause. So. Andrew does, when he have more challenging recs, does ponder a bit more. So that's what he's doing at this point. When he plays something like Fond and Alvin Poe, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, he does come back with Bond this time instead of Fond on the other side. Well, personally, I think I would have played Fond because if I find Legend of War will be slightly more flexible from my view. We're still having troubles with Kenji's equipment and the connection, so hopefully I don't worry too quickly. Jane quickly just trades on IOU. Didn't like being in debt, so she now has to pick into a very nice leave of sign. Now it's Andrew's turn, and the board's not looking overly useful for his tiles, so we'll have to see what he decides to do. Jane would really like a W for dwindles, but Andrew's got to figure out what he's going to do with that. Those 2 R's and the F and the Z, not always the most helpful letters. It's come in the chat that from Galumba that Jane missed unionize. I'm making Topi. Yes, that would have been very nice. Sometimes when you get too many vowels, you don't always see what's there. Andrew's now played perf, keeping Riz. So he's holding on the Z. There's no need always, as Kenji said in the previous game, to burn the Z right away. Sometimes you can hold on to it and things will come out. He's got Fizz on the next turn if it's still there. Now Jane's lined up Slidden. And Dindles is also bad. Slidden would be a... Yes, he played perf. And she hasn't challenged it, so it's going to stay. But no, perf is definitely not valid. There comes Dindles and stop. And some of the direct that Jane Trench has now picked up. Nick Ferns is asking, wouldn't it be funny if she played Slidden and Purse? And it would be even funnier if Andrew came around and challenged it off. Andrew's been on the scene for a very long time in New Zealand. And I believe it was last year's Masters Challenge tournament, which is a invitation-only tournament for usually the top 24 players, or the top 24 accept the invitation within New Zealand. Played over Easter weekend, 23 games, single round robin, and he won it. I believe it was last year, 2023. So good on him. He's been in the game a long time, and it's nice to get rewarded once in a while. And Andrew's based in Auckland. Jane's in South Australia, I believe. Yep, she's a second-rated player in South Australia. So she's doing well. She may have misunionized, but Dindles comes, and Andrew obviously didn't know it, so he took the 5-point. We play 5-point penalty challenge here, so there's no lost turns like there are in North America. And now Andrew has to figure out where he's going to go. Because whatever his choices are, he's not likely to have much of a lead. So he does play Fizz, which he had left the eyes of, had that left on his rack from the previous turn when he played Perf. Now, Josh Sokol says that perf is a New Zealand word, and says if it does list as a New Zealand word, the practice of taking early retirement with financial compensation from the police force. Well, I've been here for 25 years and I've never heard it. So I do sometimes wonder about the definitions of these in New Zealand based words. So Jane comes back with 20 for 8, 12, 20, 26 or something like that. 28. Just keeping turnover and scoring reasonably well. Andrew is now getting to the point where he's got to decide what am I going to do. Or from the Z and or Z and Fizz, putting the C on the double letter in the triple lane. We'll score reasonably well, clear up a lot of the rack of it. Chuos are not the greatest to leave, but it's better than some of the other alternatives he had. And we're back to Jane with Emma Button. She's got a Spice Girl on her rack with an A left over. Now, unlike the previous match, we had some relatively easy turns to pick good scores with. This one's getting a bit not quite as easy as yet. Andrew's picked up the dreaded Q when you're trying to come back is not what you want. Though only 18 back is not. He's not so bad. Jane just set up Nanotube, which would have been a lovely play if there was an open E. Most of these are still in the bag, so they are starting to come. Butanone as well is also there. So just so you know, so far today, Andrew's 3-3 with a spread of 202. Jane's 1-5, spread of minus 302. So they're both probably not playing as well as they'd like, but you never know, things can turn around. Okay. So Jane just said, "Hello, Kenji, is that you? Welcome back."
A good draw
Uh,
for
yeah,
Jane. Andrew's still with a pretty bad rack.
yeah.
There are two S hooks on this board, the Bonds hook and the Bops hook, and without those lines, the board is pretty bad, actually. Um,
Yeah, it's a board.
Fjord looks is going to be the play. EEO still not out of the woods yet with that leave.
No, you don't like having an old McDonald type wreck.
Yeah,
Leave after you're playing something.
although Jane's rack not exactly
Yeah,
good. She's going to probably shed the YU here in some
yeah.
capacity.
There's the fjord.
Again, S hooks at a premium here. All the lanes here basically are S hooks.
Yeah,
It may be about to get even worse. Uh, Jane has AYU lined up, and if that comes down, then literally the entire board will be S hooks. And yep, here we come.
yeah. It's just
I I may, if I were Jane, at least consider keeping the A here and just playing YU. The
yeah.
A is
Tails is a much better leave.
yeah, the B hook, the the opening that you blocked, you know, the BA line is actually really good for that leave.
Yes,
Um,
that's right. And
Andrew
it's
with this,
unlikely Andrew would have done anything around there, anyways.
yeah, Andrew with this weird situation where he has like ENOR, which is
Uh,
classically a good leave, but on this board it's actually pretty bad.
uh,
Th th these are not good tiles anymore.
no,
It really needs an S so badly that you actually kind of want to start playing off tiles. It does play ERR. I do understand. Like, if she does draw an S, this rack is great. If he doesn't draw an S, this rack is terrible.
yeah.
Jane has ladies lined up.
It's going to come down very quickly.
Yeah, I'd imagine with bonds. Um, I don't. It doesn't really make much sense to play with bops or fjords. So
No.
uh, Andrew did not draw the S, although he still has decent leaves.
He's got a
But
bingo.
does it play?
I don't
I
think so. I
kind of
can't
doubt
see.
almost anything would play. This is just such a bad board for this rack. Andrew desperately needs to open something that is a lane. This just isn't a good rack with this board, and even like EINRT is not a very good leave on this board.
Oh,
It's it's trouble. Um,
he's got two sevens, but we don't. Doesn't look like either one is playable.
right. At all costs, he needs to think about what can I do to create a decent line on this board.
Yes,
Um,
and
WO and OF at least starts. It's not great. You do want to create something better if you can. You can even think about something like just dropping WE on the Ian Dindles, something like that. Maybe even WIT just to create a second something. Jane has drawn revokes, by the way, which is probably just going to end the game on the spot.
yes, that's
Um, but yeah, Andrew doesn't hasn't no way of knowing that. Really,
no.
really needs to find something that opens the board.
Yes, and
Um,
he can't stop it. He can't
yeah,
stop
E
evokers or revokes.
EW under Ladies, something that your primary thing. You can even blow up some of the rack. You can keep a worse leave. You just need to do something that creates something that is a line that's not easy to block. At least WO, you can play on the left side of the EW. You can play on the right side with OFT, something like that.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's not looking good at all. And you can see Andrew's not happy about the situation, and I don't blame him.
no, I wouldn't be happy either.
Um, yeah, this is all about just Andrew's kind of just hoping that there's something better, and there just kind of really isn't. Um,
Yeah,
I haven't been paying attention, but there is some there is kind of a look that I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but there's sort of a look that Jane is very, very comfortable right now.
Yes, I don't. I think most people will be able to see that she's not. She doesn't seem like she's stressing.
No.
Well, Andrew's thinking, I'm I'm down by roughly 100, and I got a bingo that doesn't play.
Yeah, and not a lot of great options.
No.
You don't really like. It's not like it's just not very inspiring to take like the points and leave here like something from the L and Laertes. Like, yeah, you can do that, but like where you there's not a lot
Eh,
that's gonna the way that this game is going, you're not
eh,
winning.
no.
You
And
you kind of need to bingo now or you're not
eh,
winning. Like if Andrew, like from Andrew's perspective, he doesn't know that. But even from Andrew's perspective,
eh,
he's like, I have one turn. If I don't bingo next turn and I have to fish or score like 15 points again, the game is over.
yeah, and he has no
Turns
idea
out
that
it's
she's
not
going to
going to
bingo
matter,
again.
right?
Yes, Nick Ferns and Jane does look content. No, Helen Hines says that she always looks that way. So maybe Kenji and I are reading too much into it.
Yeah, we might be. When somebody looks up, did you see when Jane like looked into space like that?
Yeah.
That is the giveaway of all giveaways. However,
It's like, do you guys see this? No, I'm not. I'm not sweating it.
even Nigel does that. To be fair, like Nigel will do that whole like look away thing, and then just like okay, that doesn't mean that Nigel has a good rack, but it does mean that Nigel knows what he's playing next turn, and that it probably doesn't matter what you're doing. Because I have seen him do it as well.
Nine. Nigel left New Zealand before he left about the time I actually arrived here, so I'd never gotten the chance to play him. And there were people in his club in Christchurch who made T-shirts that said "I beat Nigel Richards." And I always
Hmm.
wanted to make a shirt that said "I beat Nigel Richards," but it's been small printed between somebody else who beat. So I'm like twice removed on beating him.
And here does come WO.
Yeah, but I guess it sets up the EEW hook.
Yeah, and the OFT hook on the
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So
It does actually like stop the higher scoring
yeah.
revokes,
It's
if that's
actually
any consolation.
it's a bit of a fork because it can't easily kill off both at once. Not that Jane's going to do that in this point.
Yeah. It does draw Odorine. I mean, he is going to get a bingo after this, but
Eh,
it's not going to be a very good one.
no. So it's got something like, yeah. Andrew's sitting there stoically as she drops
Yeah.
her third bingo in about four or five turns.
Yep. Not every game is going to be interesting, and this one is about to not be interesting. I guess anterior comes down? Is that?
Yeah, he's got a G, not an O.
Oh, it's a G. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so he's got
Oh, there's
granite and tearing
yeah. Okay, grievance,
and great.
grievance, and uh,
Well,
is
yes.
that it? I mean, interage and stuff
Yeah,
like that. This
Katipo suggested revokes an E stop in RE, which would have been actually not opened up that so much on the top end of the board.
just I'm just curious, because I don't know this for sure. Interage, can you play interage and like try to like bait an S hook? Because I don't think interage
Yeah,
takes one. But I think that that's like kind of some sort of like gambity way to try to get back in the game.
yeah, you could. Interage does not take an S,
Like there's things like that that maybe could some of the time work.
and it opens still. You can still play an 8 at the top of the board as well.
Just just for what it's worth, if he does play grievance, then meringue comes down
Yeah,
through the blank R. Although that's not exactly the easiest find, but um, I if that is you know that is a very realistic possibility. Although you might not even play meringue because of the triples. No, you have to play meringue, right?
yeah.
Yeah, you got to play meringue.
Uh,
Even like a triple triple won't even be enough, honestly.
No.
It might be like
Well, if
it
he
could
bingos
be.
here and he can triple the next turn, he's likely to be in.
It's like to be in the game. He's not likely to
Yeah.
be ahead.
No, I didn't. At this point, you just want to get back in it. You don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is kind of
Okay.
interesting. I am interested to see what Jane does if she does see meringue if she decides to play it because I would be thinking a long time about
Yeah.
grievant meringue sequences. There are ways to lose. Meringue is the best play by like 50. Like that's not a good rack that you're bingoing with
No.
at all. That meringue is that rack is terrible. The best play is gonna like be like 20. It does put an E in a really bad
Uh,
spot, but so I don't know.
Andrew's giving
Andrew's
it.
still thinking. I
Yeah. No, not.
wonder what he's thinking about.
No, and you
Um,
can't use the T because Ganatir is not going to play.
yeah, not really any other lanes. Maybe he's just seeing. I don't know what he's seeing.
No, neither do I.
I do think that in this situation, I probably would do the whole interridge thing just because I think it's the only way back. And
Yeah.
I don't think that Grievant wins ever. Because after
No.
Grievant, Jane just blocks that area, and then like, what do? You maybe sometimes I guess you hit a
Yeah.
random bingo to the T, and even then you're still losing.
And Interridge also has the advantage of blocking that R from Meringue, but
It
he wouldn't know
does,
that.
yeah. He has
Yeah.
re-rating set up. Interesting. Okay, this does block meringue.
Yeah.
It does also create a G that's pretty annoying to block, although Jane actually has a pretty nice one. Um, but again, no way for Andrew to know that. Lane is really bad though. That G is usually going to be pretty annoying to block, which
Yeah.
is definitely a benefit to this.
And she's going to let it stand because re-rating on Nzizva is
Yeah,
saying it is not
that's
valid.
the word.
Oh, I didn't think.
She did let
Yeah,
perf go.
that's two.
I wonder if she must not have seen meringue. I can't imagine.
She was close to having it on her rack, so that
She does
was.
have emu line. Well, I mean EME lined up. I'm
Uh,
assuming for
no,
emu.
they've called a long time stalwart of New Zealand Scrabble, Liz Fairland over, so they're getting a rules adjudication of some sort.
Okay, maybe it's
Uh,
not staying on then.
no, they would have got walked up and looked on their phones and walked over and gotten it. Wouldn't check the challenge, but it looks like it's staying on.
Okay, yeah,
He's drawn tiles, so
not
and
exactly what you
that's
wanted.
not what he wanted to see. It's just one of those games.
Yeah, here comes emu. I
Uh,
guess looks like.
EMEU, that'll be fine.
Um, it's not over yet.
Yeah, that's it. That's an alternative spelling of the more traditional EMU for emu, which is a very classic Australian word.
Yep.
Now, Andrew almost has a very interesting spelling of magics, and that's what it's going to take to rescue him at this point.
Yeah. There's some hope still. Like usually if you're in Andrew's shoes here, you actually want to open up some other like you're gonna
Yeah,
say, okay, I have the J, I have the V, I have a really terrible rack. If I open up something through Leiades, just open a triple triple
yeah,
lane, it gets blocked,
yeah.
and then I can hit the J for like 70 on the top. I'm not really in the game, but I'm like not completely out of the game, at least if that sort of sequence happens.
No,
Whereas if I just play jam, I'm probably just dead.
Yeah,
That being said, that's easier said than done.
yeah.
I don't even
All
see a
right.
play that really even opens the triple triple, which is what I'd be certainly looking for. Something to like the eye and ladies. Um, something like
I think
exam, except it
uh,
scores more.
yeah, exam doesn't get anything on that triple side. Yes, what would you do?
Like a five that went through the eye and ladies, basically any five that went through the eye and ladies would be fantastic here.
Oh, okay. So Liz came over because Andrew overdrew and had taken 8 tiles out of the bag, and
Okay.
and if you have 8 tiles and they're all face down, you haven't seen any, then your opponent just takes one and throws it in the bag. Or if you do see some, then they can choose 2 tiles and choose which one goes back. So it looks like Andrew is seriously contemplating jam.
Yeah, I don't blame him. It just
No.
never wins here. You do want to like look to see if you can find something that like some perfect draw also that hits the T.
Yeah,
If you can hit some like JXT thing, then maybe you can
yeah.
get back in that way. I don't think there's anything with that rack specifically, but
12, 14,
might be where
42,
his
43,
mind's heading.
46.
Yeah.
Jane's still looking for an R. Drawing. Well, let's see if Andrew takes a deep breath before he turns him over. Not one. Oh, there's the
It's
blank's a
not
nice.
bad. It's probably not going to win them the game, but it's probably going to get the score a lot
Yeah,
closer.
yeah. He could play EXO just under her given there,
Yep.
making Ox and Co. And that would score, but leaves CHVL. Well, that's not in a blank. That's not horrendous, terrible as it necessarily looks, but on this board, it's probably not beneficial for anything.
Yeah, you really, really, really want to get rid of something. Like
Yeah,
even the H, even if you can play like HOV, you'd rather do that, and even I mean
yeah.
kept keeping the X, but you really can't. I mean, you can, but it's terrible. Um, Again, like
Mm,
I'm really looking at the T to just try to see like, oh, if I draw perfectly, is there anything I can hit? Um,
mm. Oh, the pile's getting
I,
the bag is getting very thin.
yeah, you might not even get another turn.
There's if I counted 11, so there should be 4 in the bag,
Yeah.
which means you can't really do a whole lot. And if he keeps a CHL, I mean, from his view, there's 5 out of the 11 are vowels, so that's
Right.
something.
I would be looking really hard if I were Andrew for if I draw the X and I draw the A, do I have anything? I'm pretty sure the answer is no,
No,
but it looks like there might be something like, something that ends like you almost have like Chevrolet or something like, Chevrolet or something like
yeah,
that. Um, even I'm
yeah,
saying to myself, like, even if I draw like if I play off CH, is there any like nine that, especially with the A, because there's three of
yeah,
them, is there any like eight I can hit that scores like a ton of points in that given spot? Just like going through all the
yeah,
permutations. It's obviously a lot easier to do
yeah,
permutations with one tile or two tiles rather
yeah,
than three. He does have Vox lined up. That does make a lot of sense.
yeah.
Um, it looks like actually he might hit something. Um, LORU in the bag. Oh, maybe not.
No,
It is worth
yeah,
thinking if you're Andrew actually even about playing Hawks. You're really just thinking about how many bingos you hit, and
Yeah,
Even though CHL is just a lot better than CLV, it may not necessarily be when you're only really shooting at one line.
yeah.
Um,
And there's still no really profitable way to open up towards the bottom.
yeah,
And now he's just
lost.
killed any parallels there. It's the T or nothing down there.
Yeah, and I think the T is about to go away.
Yeah.
Are there any bad lines? Not really.
Yeah.
It's difficult to block that though.
Yeah.
At least in a way that feels good. If he draws like if he leaves the L in the bag, there might be some hope, maybe.
Yeah. He's down by 67, and it's going to be more than that very soon. Yeah.
Like assuming we see like GHAT or something like that, though, I think the game's just over. Or aghast, if you want to be really sure.
So Andrew has chloral on his rack, making that
Yeah.
an A, but that's not going to go anywhere.
Well, there's some hope that Alchloric
Yeah.
ends up playing, but probably not.
There's nothing to the T.
Yeah. Is there something from the T from Jane's point of view with the U in the pool? I don't think so, but there might be.
T.
Yeah, I think even if you're Jane in Jane's shoes, you block it anyway, even if you don't see anything. It's pretty much the only way you lose.
No, there's nothing.
Yeah. But I think Jane's gonna
It's
block it anyway.
yeah.
Aghast is actually a really like you're gonna leave an out with anything in the bag with Aghast, so that's probably the best way of blocking. Even though it does shade your S. I don't think the S is that valuable here.
It's doesn't matter or not. There's nothing, no 9 off of the EN.
Yeah, the 9 wouldn't play because it'd have to end in T or something. It's not enough space.
She's just no. It's just waiting, knowing what your opponent has, and knowing that you're not a miraculous mistake is the only hope you have.
Well, I would think from Jane's perspective she could lose. She could lose to the
Yeah,
T, but I think she's willing to.
yeah,
Maybe she's deduced that that's not possible.
yeah. And keep scoring. Get it back over. Get it near 100 again.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. She picks up the U.
The
So it looks like Jane is going to pick up her 2,000th, 2,000 win, tournament win
Nice.
today. So good for her. I'm sure she'll be happy with that.
Probably a decent endgame here. I'm not really seeing anything that's great, but maybe just LOLL or something. But it feels like there's something better than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's luck, and then you have two outs, but they're really bad outs.
This is Jane got up early and never looked back.
Yeah. It is worth noting, and then I always give this obligatory message: challenge everything in 5 points.
That I generally agree with that. If you aren't, if it doesn't do you any good and you are not 100% certain,
You're
5 points
generally getting
most of
9-1
the
or
most
so.
of the time the game difference is not 5 or under.
Yeah, and the
So
game difference when you challenge it is enormous. Even if it's like a 20-point play, like even something like if there's playing for 15 points, that means that they think it's their best play. So when you're sending back a 15-point play, you're not only getting 15 points, you're really getting back a whole turn. You're really getting something more like 35 or 40 back. So you're generally getting enormous odds. And as a result, you really should challenge everything that you're not sure of. Even if you're right, even if you're losing 85% of your challenges, you'll still end up being ahead.
yeah. The problem is if you challenge too much, then people will never play one against you. Just take the 5 points when they can.
That's okay though.
Yeah,
And people will phony that
yeah,
much accidentally.
yeah.
Even at this level, they will.
We've seen Andrew play perf and get away with it in this game.
Yeah, as we see Oho getting played.
Yeah.
I don't see the out with that rack, but I
No,
guessing there is one. I don't see one.
not on this board.
At least at least Locke would have had an out, but
And stop that.
I do wonder actually if Andrew played a phony and got it challenged off. I wonder if Jane would have played Algae like she did and then had Alchlor played. Because I think that actually some of the time that might happen. It's not enough
Well,
though, right?
after algae,
It's not enough. Yeah.
no, it won't be enough.
I do think though
It
that
would
those
it would look
sorts of things
nice.
might work. Yeah, because Alchlor is not an easy find at all.
No.
As we see Andrew, I think
Fine.
Andrew has decided that there's another game to be played.
I think that's right. Fight another day.
Yeah.
She's gonna play something like Sun and Fjords.
Yeah, probably. That looks
Now, when you came
best.
down here, was it earlier this year you were in New Zealand, Kenji?
Yeah.
Did you go down to the fjords?
I did not. It was too far away. I was stationed, I was
Oh,
near
you were
I
up
was
with
staying with
Chris and
Chris. Yeah.
yeah.
Chris is a good 5 hours away from the fjords. Probably more than that, actually.
It's significantly more than that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's five
You got
hours to like Wellington, isn't it? So yeah, it's
yeah,
another
yeah, and
what
then
6 hours to the fjords.
yes. Oh, and then it's you're better off flying down.
Yeah,
So,
okay. I kind of figured. I was only there for a week. It didn't make much sense to
oh,
fly all the way down to the South Island.
no. Living in the South Island, I would wholly disagree with that statement, but there
Okay.
certainly is a bias. It's interesting she played us instead of Sun
It
for
is
a few, just
interesting. She
just a
probably it I think there's kind of just a
uh,
etiquette thing of like the game is over here. Let me just
yeah.
you know, you played you played Claude. You're
Eh,
probably not making the best play. I don't really want to make the
no,
best play either.
yeah. I saw this. I'll just stick with it. I won't spend the
Yeah,
time looking for what squeezing an extra 4 points or so out. And if she getting the congratulations for 2000th tournament win,
that's a lot of
eh,
wins.
that's a lot of games. Yes.
It's a lot of games, period, actually, yeah. Just games. I don't think I've played 2000 live games in tournaments.
I know I haven't.
Yeah.
I, part of it is that I'm most distant club in the country, and
Okay.
it helps to be in the North Island because it's much easier to get to a lot more games
Yeah.
and a lot more tournaments to play.
Yeah, but I don't think I've most people haven't even played 2000 games, much less won 2000 games.
No, and in New Zealand we actually give out badges to those who have played milestone games like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000.
Nice.
And Australia does the same thing, and we picked it up from them. So it is kind of nice because people will come to tournaments showing up, and it shows their dedication to the game.
Yeah.
All right. According to Josh Sokol, you've played 1,297 games in NASPA.
Okay. Good to know. So I've probably won like, I don't know, 750 of them or something.
Come on, Josh, help fill us in.
I'm glad to know that Josh knows my tournament results far better than I do.
And I've played 754 tournament games and won 412 for some openness. So you possibly have won more than I played.
Maybe. I've played a lot more online games than that. I have won 2,000 online games.
Yeah, but
I,
those tend to go a bit faster and
I
are
do.
available more than a few times a year.
Yeah. You can
So,
play a lot of online games. I probably played, I think I've played like 300 or 400 games in a day once. Like it's
oh my
possible to
gosh,
play a ridiculous number of games online. So it's
we
not, 2,000 sounds like a lot until you start doing the math and then you realize, wait, 3 minute games. There
yeah,
are, if you're at the computer 12 hours a day playing 3 minute games, you know,
it's 20 minutes an hour, 20 games an hour,
right.
maybe slightly less because you got to restart them.
Yeah, and sometimes you can
Uh,
do, you're not doing 12 hours. Sometimes you do 18 hours, and you can
uh,
play a lot of games
I,
sometimes.
I can tell you if I did that, I wouldn't be married for very long.
Sometimes there's sacrifices you gotta make.
Yeah.